A crisp silver disc glints in the palm, its familiar profile hiding a secret that sends seasoned collectors' hearts racing. Today's journey begins with a coin that might have brushed past your fingertips without notice in the checkout line, yet commands five-figure sums when it reveals its hidden irregularities. This narrative isn't about grand introductions or flashy slogans. Instead, let's lean in, uncover how a routine 1988 Washington quarter transformed into a treasure trove, and explore why an everyday gesture, like tossing change onto a counter, can become the gateway to a remarkable discovery. Back in 1988, the U.S. Mint continued its nearly half-century run of Washington quarters, but with subtle shifts in technology and procedure. The Philadelphia and Denver facilities struck literally billions of these quarters, intending them for the usual round-the-clock commerce. What few anticipated was that minute variations in die preparation and striking pressure would spawn a handful of anomalies. By the end of the year, most of these pieces circulated into oblivion, yet a handful remained untouched in rolls or tucked away in pocket change. Those handfuls harbor the clues that seasoned collectors and curious inheritors learn to seek. Production records from that era reveal that Philadelphia coined roughly 677 million quarters in 1988, while Denver produced about 631 million. Standard issue pieces bore the familiar obverse portrait of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan, and the reverse design celebrating America's enduring eagle. Mass production relied heavily on automated processes, but early in 1988, a freshly prepared die in Philadelphia introduced microscopic misalignments. Simultaneously, a hastily repunched mint mark at Denver caused certain pieces to carry an overlapping D, detectable only under magnification. Those records, dry as they may read on paper, gave rise to the rarest variants that collectors now prize. The first key to spotting a valuable piece lies in examining Washington's hair on the obverse. Many 1988 quarters show the expected smooth contours, but a few examples display what experts call a double die effect. Look for faint, parallel lines tracing the edges of the sculpted hair strands. Each line echoes the original engraving, doubled by a slight shift during die creation. Equally telling are the so-called die cracks that march across the design like tiny fault lines. These hairline fractures occur when the die sustains stress and begin to fracture, transferring those cracks onto the coin's surface with each strike. More elusive still are the repunched mint marks. At Denver, an initial punch of the D slipped slightly, was lifted, and then driven again in near, but not exact alignment. The result? A small echo of the mint mark sitting just off kilter. Under a 10x loop, you might notice a ghost D shadowing the primary mark. Philadelphia's rarities often hinge on doubling around the date. Collectors learn to tilt suspect quarter obverse under strong light, catching glints that reveal not one crisp 8, but two, each lending depth to the numerals. These features can elevate a common coin into something worth far more than face value. Auction archives speak volumes about the market's appetite. In early 2024, a Philadelphia minted 1988 quarter exhibiting strong doubling and sharp die cracks sold for $4 200 in MS, 65 condition. Later that year, a Denver piece with a pronounced repunched D and no signs of wear fetched $3 750 at a dedicated error coin sale. Prices climbed steeply with grade. An MS 67 double die example recently crossed the block for an astounding $12 300. Remarkably, the top record sale to date reached $18 500 for a flawless MS 68 specimen featuring both doubling and a dramatic die crack arc. These sums dwarf the few dollars paid for standard uncirculated examples. Beyond numbers and glossy auction catalogs lie stories that infuse these quarters with personality. A Midwest collector recounts finding a double-die 1988 quarter in a new roll mint for his restaurant's tip jar, tucked between crisp bills and receipts. His initial disbelief gave way to excitement as he compared it to online references, ultimately trading the piece for a rarer 1932 D quarter plus cash. Another tale involves a retired schoolteacher who discovered a repunched mint mark specimen on her morning commute. She reached out to a local coin club, initially unsure of her find. only to learn she had stumbled onto one of fewer than 50 known examples. When assessing value, condition remains king. Circulated quarters with light wear and a hint of doubling might command $50 to $150, tempting owners who stumbled upon them in daily transactions. In contrast, uncirculated mint state coins rated MS 60 through MS 63 generally range between $300 and $800, depending on the clarity of the error. Enthusiasts often chase higher grades. An MS 64 error variant could climb above $1 200, while those hitting MS 65 or beyond become true prize pieces. At the pinnacle, flawless MS 67 specimens account for the multi-thousand-dollar results seen in prestigious auction houses. The role of toning and cleaning can't be overstated. A lightly toned quarter, with soft blue and gold hues around the rim, can draw premium bids in the right venue, adding a layer of visual appeal without compromising transparency. Conversely, harsh cleaning or polishing strips away original surfaces and draws immediate grade reductions. Professional grading services penalize altered surfaces, so collectors protect their investments by leaving coins in as-found condition. When in doubt, encapsulation by an independent grading company can safeguard both authenticity and condition grade, ensuring that the quarter's provenance remains intact. As that silver quarter gently spins under bright exam lights, each facet reveals a chapter of American minting history and mechanical nuance. What began as pocket change transforms into a narrative of human oversight, mechanical precision, and serendipitous discovery. Keep that mental checklist in mind: doubled hair strands, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and surface condition, because every 1988 quarter carries the potential to rewrite the usual expectations of face value. When you next sort through a roll of change or pause at a shop counter, remember that the unassuming 1988 Washington quarter holds stories of minting mishaps and market marvels alike. Soon, we'll shift our focus to another era, one where the mid-1990s brought its own surprises in a quarter you might also have forgotten about until now. Stay tuned as we uncover how a 1994 issue turned heads and wallets. Sliding smoothly from the ripples of the late 80s minting saga, let's turn our lens to the mid-90s, where a routine 1994 Washington quarter harbors its own trove of minting marvels. This coin, struck in staggering numbers, might seem unremarkable at first glance, yet beneath its silver-gray sheen lie errors that can transform a handful of copper-nickel planchets into collector gold. As we wind through the tale of the 1994 quarter, keep your loop at the ready. This story blends precision engineering, unexpected mishaps, and market fervor into a narrative every collector and heirloom holder will appreciate. By 1994, the Washington quarter design had settled into its familiar groove. The mint's Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco branches together produced over 1 billion quarters that year, with San Francisco focusing almost exclusively on proof strikes. A shift toward harder planchets and faster presses aimed to boost throughput, but those innovations introduced stresses that sometimes manifested as dramatic errors. Whether you found these coins in change at a grocery checkout or tucked away in an old coin album, some show anomalies that whisper of mechanical misfires and human intervention. The origin story of the 1994 error quarter often begins in the die chamber. As dies were hardened for longer life, microscopic stresses crept into the engraved steel. In a handful of Philadelphia obverse dies, these stresses released during striking, creating a phenomenon known as die flow doubling. Collectors spot this effect in the lettering above Washington's head. Look for faint echoes of Liberty doubling back upon themselves. At Denver, meanwhile, a small number of dies suffered from lapping lines. Those are fine scratches from polishing that hadn't been fully buffed away, which, when transferred, produce parallel lines across flat surfaces of the coin, notably in the eagle's feathers on the reverse. More elusive and highly prized are the off-center strikes. Early in the production run at Philadelphia, a poorly seated die in the collar mechanism allowed up to 2.5% of strikes to land slightly askew. Instead of a perfect circle, these quarters bear a crescent-shaped blank at the edge, showing part of the planchet that was supposed to be trimmed away. Degrees of off-centering vary, Some exhibit a gentle shift of a millimeter or two, while rare examples tilt dramatically, sending Washington's profile nearly brushing the rim. Those dramatic examples, with centering errors beyond 20%, now command the lion's share of auction excitement. Another class of error showed up at San Francisco. Proof coins inadvertently struck on business strike planchets. A handful of 1994 proof quarters bear the typical brilliant, mirrored surfaces but lack the S mint mark. They emerge from the same press, but on planchets intended for everyday circulation, creating hybrid coins that combine proof finish with business series metal composition. Their mirrored fields, compared against standard business strikes, sparkle with an almost ghostly brilliance. Yet under a light, you'll notice the planchet's slightly different weight and ring when dropped on a tabletop. Market value for these varied error types spans a wide spectrum. Mild die-doubled examples in circulated grades might trade hands for $75 to $150, appealing to collectors who want a taste of error numismatics without breaking the bank. A 1 to 2% off-center strike in an MS 63 grade can ascend to $500, while the more severe 10 to 15% off-center issues in MS 65 have achieved $200 at specialty auctions. The pinnacle for off-centers, those over 20%, reached $500 in early 2025, setting a new benchmark for what collectors will pay when misalignment meets high grade. Proof-like and cameo business strike hybrids attract fierce bidding, too. In late 2024, an less quarter with razor-sharp mirrored fields and cameo contrast sold for $3 for 50, nearly 10 times the price of a standard proof 69 specimen. Auction houses note that their provenance often includes direct purchase from San Francisco Mint employees or early finders who understood the coin's uniqueness before the wider error coin community did. Such stories add narrative fuel. One veteran collector recalls acquiring his hybrid from a retired mint technician who still had bags of misstruck 1994 coins in his garage, a trove he'd saved against the day collectors awakened to their value. Anecdotes run deep. In one tale, a suburban schoolteacher turned coin collector discovered a 1994 flow doubled quarter peeking from beneath a carpet in her classroom after renovating her flooring. She initially thought the faint doubling was dirt or a printing smudge until she shared a photo with a local numismatic society and learned she'd found a rarity valued at over $1,000. Another story involves a young hobbyist who, while sorting family change, spotted a quarter with a tiny crescent of blank planchet at its edge. He posted images online, stoking enough excitement that certified examples now appear at the top of dedicated error coin forums, trading for upwards of $500 in pristine, encapsulated grades. Beyond the headline-grabbing rarities, condition-based variations play a crucial role. Slightly off-center strikes in circulated grades fetch modest premiums. An MS 55 piece with a 5% shift might sell for around $350. As wear intensifies, the visual impact of the error diminishes, so prices for those in VG or F grades drop back to the $100, $200 range. Uncirculated, non-error specimens generally reside between $20 and $35, but adding any error to the mix vaults them into a different league entirely. Collectors IMS 65 error quarter specimens as the sweet spot, balancing crisp detail with visible anomalies and commanding sums from $1 200 to $1 800, depending on error severity. The role of certification cannot be overstated. Many collectors insist on numbers from major grading services, leveraging slabbed authentication to mitigate risks of misattribution or post-strike alteration. When a 1994 off-center quarter sold for $800, that price tag hinged on a detailed certification report noting precise centering percentages, die-doubling documentation, and surface quality consistent with an MS 68 grade. Auction records show undervalued errors sometimes surface in raw coin lots, but once slabbed and verified, the same pieces routinely double or triple in market value. What makes the 1994 quarter errors especially compelling is their accessibility. Unlike early minting anomalies from the 19th century, these coins remain within reach of a new generation of collectors. Spare change can still yield a die flow doubled obverse, and bulk coin rolls occasionally reveal off-center surprises. That accessibility fuels participation and keeps prices robust. Error coin conventions regularly feature dedicated tables where dealers trade 1994 era quarters alongside modern rarities, creating a vibrant marketplace where passion and historical curiosity converge. In the arc from 1988 to 1994, Washington quarters evolved from subtle doubled dies and repunched mint marks to die flow anomalies, off-centers, and proof-like hybrids, all within a span of 6 years. Each variant underscores the delicate balance of minting technology and human oversight. So next time you handle a 1994 quarter, pause before spending it. You might be holding more than just a 50-cent piece. You could have a slice of minting history waiting to command attention and value in the collector's world.